my real name is Hal, right? I'm Hal.
Stick with
like
Trey.
Hal is like the worst name ever. Hal is like a 45-year-old guy who has a bowling league. Hey everybody, what's up? Trey Wingo here. Welcome into another edition of Half Forgotten History. Kind of a special episode this time. I'm talking to my good friend Kenny Mayne, who, as you know, has just left ESPN and is out doing his post-ESPN career and doing really well already. Kenny and I worked together for a lot of years on a certain show and then on another show. And the thing about ESPN is you only see people that you're working with because there's so many different shows going on during different times of the day. So there was a 4 or 5 year run where Kenny was like the only constant face I had. And what a face it was. So enjoy Kenny in all of his Kenniness. Hi.
Boat.
Car.
Old joke. Inside joke. We're not even explaining it.
No, it's not worth playing. So how are you feeling? How's life?
This minute, I'm great.
Yeah.
I'm tired. After I left ESPN officially, like my last show was May 24th, but technically, May 31st. Went to Seattle. I think, did I go the next day? I don't know. Yeah. But I hadn't been, since the whole Trump virus, I had not been West and at all. Like it was, my daughters are at college and my wife's here and my job was here. And I just wanted to go see my people. I played golf 5 times. I still suck. I'm horrible at golf. I hate golf and I love it at the same time. I was saying I should do something else for 4 hours that I'm terrible at. Let's paint. I'm a horrible artist. So let's walk around on some pretty grass with sand and flags and paint every now and then. But then I went to Los Angeles, made a commercial. Then I went to Las Vegas and talked to people and also played craps and won, strangely. And now I'm back here because our third daughter, Elena, is going to USC. We got her graduation party tonight. So there's Gretchen. Keep it up.
Hi, Gretchen. Hi, Gretchen.
Gretchen. I'll be over there soon. And Bill Walton corrected me. I saw him in San Diego the week before because Gretchen and I went with my daughter, Riley, our daughter. He corrected me because I made that reference. Our daughter, my daughter, stepdaughter, and he says, Kenny, you have 4 daughters. It's not where you've been. It's where you are. And it was so beautiful. I make the mistake and I love them all.
Yeah.
I came with 2 daughters. Gretchen came with 2 daughters. We have 4 daughters.
It's perfect. That's the way it should be. So do you feel like liberated? How do you feel? Like it's a weird transition. You were there for 30, right? I was there for 23.
27.
27. Okay.
Well, it's funny. Jamal Crawford is the sweetest person ever, by the way. He donated $1,000 for each of my 27 years to the Run Freely Foundation that Gretchen and I started. I'm going to hold up the leg brace right here. We'll talk about that another time. But I had a ruined ankle, got this thing, and we're helping veterans. And I said, Jamal, it's actually 27 years, 1 month. So if you want to make the check,
a little bigger.
Yeah. The weird part for me was Norby Williamson, the boss, one of the bosses, and I had this conversation on May 10th where it was determined I was not going to stay. And it immediately moved to, well, do you want to do your remaining shows? How do you want to handle explaining it, all that? And I was like, well, I'm on paper to do 8 more shows. I should do 8. Like, I'm not quitting on you. I'm not staying after May 31. But I'm going to live up to what I signed up for. If you want to take me off them, take me off them. But I'm not going to be the one to say take me off them. So that was the weird part, the kind of surreal. I'm not going to be here in 3 weeks, but I'm still doing Cubs Marlins highlight tonight. The show's got looser, but not absurd.
Not caring helps. Not caring helps.
Well, yes, and you and I did a bunch of shows together, and we cared greatly about being.
We did
right. That everybody always mistakes that, like, oh, they just joke around. It's like, no, we care deeply about being accurate. Like, you feel terrible when you screw something up, but it's just sports. So team A plays team B, team C plays team D, unless it's some significant thing, it's just another Tuesday or whatever. But the very last show, I would argue, I think I did my best show on my last show, I guess is the best way to put it.
It was a tribute to you, which I thought was pretty cool.
But I swear to God, I wasn't trying to. I just said,
I didn't say you were trying. It just worked out that way.
I said to Derek Camogan, he was going to be my producer, and way ahead, we played golf and we talked. I said, look, here's what I would do. I would have whoever would say yes. I was going to ask 4 or 5 people, and they all said yes. What if they were live? We're talking Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay situation. Hey, hold on. We got Marlins Cubs highlight coming at you. Do the highlight, come back to him.
Back to the interview.
Go to break. Coming up, Marshawn Lynch, if he can get his Wi-Fi working, he'll join us next.
I'm trying to remember when we did our first show, but we did a bunch of 1 a.m.s for a bunch of years. I think they made us stop because you made me laugh like every night. And the fixes, for those that don't know, like the old 1 a.m. SportsCenter used to run all morning long. Like you'd go on at 1 a.m. Till noon the next day. Like it went forever. Like you were on there for 13 hours. Yeah. And you had to get everything right, and you had to make sure everything was done. Like the worst thing you could hear was rain delay in California for a baseball game. You're going to be there forever.
Right. Or if you said Nikolai Khabibulin and his name is Khabibulin. Yeah.
Khabibulin, yeah. Well, we did a bunch of those, and you kept making me laugh. So, like, we had to do the fixes, kept getting longer and longer. And I think that's why they stopped putting us on the 1 a.m. show, because I kept screwing it up.
Well, it wasn't you. It was just the system, too. You know, this is back in the day when it wasn't all digital. They were literally rolling, 2-inch tape in some distant room. So if you said Khabibulin and not Khabibulin, you had to find that moment of Khabibulin Khabibulin, or
splice it.
But I was always like, why don't we do the highlights a minute 9, say, a minute 20, whatever it is. That'll take a minute 20, won't it? Because it's a minute. Instead, no, we're going to fix Khabibulin for 3 hours until we get that stupid word in that one little thing of these twigs of there's that much space. And then Scott Van Pelt and I, for the show called Main Street, which was our little situation comedy that ran on ESPN.com, 2006, 7, 8, somewhere there. Famous people were in that. They became famous anyway. We did our first episode called Fixes, and it was Scott Van Pelt and I kept screwing up Rafa Nadal's name. Allison Becker's my producer, and she's like, please say Rafa, please, and Scott's like, it's like 4 a.m. now. Scott's like, my counselor Vikram says my marriage is falling apart because I'm not home. And I'm like, you're blaming me for the dissolution of your marriage? She's like, no, not just for that, but for the estrangement from my children. And Scott didn't have kids at the time, but he was acting. Fixes is a funny thing. And you only know it if you know it. Like you can describe it, but until you've lived it, it's really hard to, and your body's giving out. You're just saying stupid shit at the end. Like the greatest thing ever on SportsCenter was the live goodbye that didn't get fixed, because that was the last live goodbye, and then the fixes would happen after. You could just say anything. Pudding will be available on the street in 1 minute. Goodbye, everyone. I'm out.
Speaking of you could say anything, there was an infamous 1 a.m. show that you did during the All-Star break where it was a Major League, I think it was a Major League All-Star break or NBA, I don't know. There was nothing going on. And it was tray of meats. It was the tray of meats teas.
It's legendary inside the building. Nobody watched the show, so no one else had.
But that was the whole point. There was nothing going on, so you guys decided it was you. I don't know who you did it with.
Andy Tennant.
Yeah, and
who's now
Jim,
like a boss. Andy Tennant now wears a blue blazer and a turtleneck.
Yeah, he's important
kind of
now.
No, good guy.
A great guy. But you decided we're just going to go all in. Jim Bowden was the CP.
Rob
Guijarro.
Anybody in the
it was like
give me a janitor. Anybody answer the phone.
You did a whole thing about tray of meats and
there was a conveyor belt of basically I said I'm writing the teas for those who don't know, the thing that right out of the gate coming up on SportsCenter, right? Yeah. So that night I'm like, we're leading with the Clippers, okay, and this is back when the Clippers sucked, and they were maybe going to make the playoffs, so they were going for the 8 spot, right? That was going to be our lead story, Clippers battling for the 8 spot. So the show's pretty bad if that's the best you got. Like, what are we doing after that? So I was like, why don't we write a tease about what we won't have and a little of what we will have, just sort of mock the fact our show sucks. Yet it's going to be a fun show. Look at our tease. Our tease is pretty good. Why would you not want to keep watching more? And we went way off the bridge. We just kept going.
Didn't you put in like the mission statement to take risks?
That's a fact. We also put a picture of the company president. Was it George? Was it
Steve? It was Steve Bornstein at the time.
Oh, Bornstein.
It was Bornstein. Yeah. It said our mission statement is to take risks.
And we are.
It lets you say it was not well received by certain people that you might have already mentioned on this podcast.
Somebody said something like, as opposed to running a tease, why didn't you take out a fucking gun and kill yourself? Like
that's exactly right.
And that's no disrespect to that horrible act. It was meant, I beat me out, whatever.
But the point, no, it's okay. You can say whatever you want. I don't care. The point was, it was so unreceived by that. That's how strongly they felt. I was like, it's a flippin' tease, man. Relax.
You could argue sometimes if something is not well received, it must have been good. You could argue that in some cases, not all cases. And I'm not picking on him at all. Just it was definitely a little too avant-garde for ESPN SportsCenter in that era. I will say that for sure.
You know what? Screw it. It was funny and it was memorable and it made me laugh.
We're still talking about it.
Still talking about it. Yeah. So what are you gonna do?
The first thing somebody asked, I think it was Lebitard. This is like a day later. He called me immediately, like called me 11. You're on my show. Go. You're on live. Go. Like, no, Lebitard and I are friends as we are. You didn't call that day. Had you been the guy, I would have been this, whoever my friends, why would I not do it? And also as my own agent and publicist and manager, why wouldn't I want to keep my name fresh for those people that might watch your show and go, oh, that was funny half hour. Let's keep, right. That's
right. Yeah.
So Gretchen's calling it the Ken Mayne ego tour. That's what she's described this period of time as. And she might be right. What was the question? I don't know. I said to Lebitard, I want to make commercials because I've done a bunch of them and I know how to make them.
And you've done very well.
So I name dropped a company. I'll do it here. Olipop.
Olipop. Yeah.
Drinkolipop.com. And they literally got a hold of me that same day. Like I'm out here, right here, barbecuing, and I get this text message or a DM on Twitter, and they want to send me free pop for the nice mention. I said, fuck free pop. I want to make a commercial for you. Give me the guy's name. So I get the guy's name, Steven. I called him a minute later. We had a great talk. The next day we made a deal. The next 5 days later, we shot a commercial right over there behind the backyard, and it's airing
with a big wheelbarrow full of sugar. I saw it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And then subsequent to that, Jason Jobs, my good friend out in Seattle, we were golfing a bunch, and we started saying, like, why don't we, if we just think of something stupid, like the tray of meat, right? If we think of something that stupid, let's go do it and see what happens after. Don't worry about who wants to buy it. Go do it. Make the thing you make sellable as opposed to the idea that they can't get because they won't get it, right? So we did. We shot children's miniature golf. It got like 3 million impressions, like just ridiculous. I didn't know how it happened. Justin Bieber must have retweeted it. I have no idea why it got that many. And then I called back to Olipop. Hey, I got 5 more of those. You want to be attached to it? They said yes. And so there's commercial number 2. I shot a commercial for Madden. Am I supposed to say that? I did. So far, I'm doing what I said I'm doing. I've done 3 commercials, I guess, in 2 weeks.
And that's pretty good.
I'm just answering the question. I wasn't trying to brag. I was like,
no. Does it feel? I mean, like for me, there was this sort of weird, like, well, what do I do now? And then I realized, why didn't I do this sooner?
There was a little bit of that to me, but I would say the timing for me and for you too, because you're not a few months before. Like we're same category. A really good market to jump into right now. There seems to be a lot of people who liked what we did. So I'm going to go talk to them. And I'll certainly do something more, quote unquote, permanent. I'm not going to go somewhere 5 days a week.
No,
but I'm going to do this thing with this company and that thing with that company. And hopefully there'll be time to do like my little art projects, if you will. Like I got kind of weird ideas that might not sell somewhere, but after I make them, they might, right? So that's what I'm going to do.
Why does Aaron Rodgers call you Ken instead of Kenny?
Same reason Gretchen, my wife, does. It's to give me a hard
get your
time.
attention.
Yeah, no. Well, yeah.
Because I had never heard anybody call you Ken before,
other than Gretchen and Aaron, apparently. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
He does it to be silly, like, "Hey Ken, can you right? Hey buddy, or be official." I think Aaron does because I'm 61 years old. My name's still Kenny. I think they're trying to say, "Why don't you grow up?" Is what they're saying, and I say it right back to them.
Well, my name is ridiculous too, so I get that. But I'd never heard anybody else call you Ken. That was just it was almost off-putting.
Noel Sansevier of Eastern Montana, my good friend Mark, best friend Mark, his brother, Noel we would play golf and he would always call it the Ken Mayne Invitational. This is 30, 40 years ago, so it's been out there. I felt like there'd be a time where I'd mature enough to switch to Ken. It just doesn't fit me, I don't think. Hi, I'm Ken Mayne. So it's a joke to say it that way is why well, like my real name is Hal, right? I'm Hal. Stick with
like Hal is like the worst name ever. Like I think Hal is like a 45-year-old guy who has a bowling league.
I feel the same. Ken Mayne.
Ken, Hal. No, but Trey, Kenny, better.
Definitely, I might use that in the way we're talking about. Like that is a way to, like I think the Olipop guy, he's been using it. Ken Mayne, spokesman. Like he just says it to be funny, right?
You had the greatest quote ever one time when you were going through a contract negotiation, and it stuck with me. This is like 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago.
I remember.
you was an interview for USA Today when that was a thing. You said, I don't look to ESPN for validation. I look to ESPN for money. And I had like just gotten there and been there. You're like, damn, that's absolutely correct. And I think sometimes you find yourself thinking the other way, which is just stupid.
Yeah, well, and I think a lot of people in any job, and again, I hope people we're not like acting like we just did a stupid TV job, like whatever. Like a bunch of people know how to do that. But yes, I would get in those places where, like, I don't think I have a big ego, but I think I know how to do what I do, and I have confidence in how to do the stuff I do. I think I write okay, and I think I'm not horrible presenting, and I'd already proven that. So I'm not looking for them to pat me on, hey, nice show last night, or boy, you're good at this. I'm just looking at them on a mercenary basis to get money out of them, as they were me to make money, right? Like whatever I do helps them make. Where it's an exchange, it's a fair exchange of services, and so the point was, they don't need to give me flattery. You can't go to 7-Eleven buy a Slurpee with flattery, and it wasn't being a dick. It was more just a way of thinking at it, like. But
it was accurate, right? It was so accurate, and I never thought about it that way till I saw it in print. Which
the thing that was funny, all the time I was there, and again, none of this is with any malice. I totally appreciate ESPN giving me a great opportunity. I came out of absolutely nowhere to get hired in the first place, and I kept getting these little notches up. I'm next to Dan Patrick 3 years after I got there. What the hell, That made no sense. I was like, okay, I'll do that. I didn't bid for it. I didn't even lobby for it. I just got picked for it somehow. So that's kind of how I always looked at it. Just like go there and do your best. And I had never got other offers. Like I would contact NBC or CBS or Fox, whoever, for doing the football stories, right? I did these silly football stories for years, 10 years, 12 years. And they always flattered me, but they never made an offer. So the only way I ever got my offer to get better was to pretend I was going to quit. And then they'd come up and I'd stay. And then this last time we did it the other way where they took it down and I said, no, thanks. I just felt like they set an over under, the gambling term, and I'm going to go play the over. And I'm not saying that there's no rip here. I got a million great friends. I wish them all the best. They're going to have great programming as they always have. And I won't be there. I'll be doing Olipop commercials or children's miniature golf or talking to you.
My favorite thing that you did was one of the greatest boondoggles of all time was the wider world of sports.
That was fun.
I mean, we did it for 3 years. How long did that last?
Well, we have an inside joke with the crew that put the first 2 years we were international, and the third year we went domestic, as we explained it. So what happened was I was doing Main Street, which I referred to earlier. That was with, I'm going to name drop all these people because they're famous now. It's kind of cool to say I worked with them, honestly, yeah. And they're all friends, Allison Becker and Aubrey Plaza and John Glazer and Ben Schwartz and I'm going to leave out some names, and I'm going to stop right there because those are the fucking headliners. All right, the rest of you guys get better. Okay, no, Chris Smith was in it, Lenny Jacobson, Mulaney was in it, Ben Stiller, Jimmy Kimmel, on and on and on, right? But the young ones I was talking about, they were young, they were just
up-and-comers.
New York comedy stuff and Upright Citizens, and so getting to this thing with ESPN was cool for them as well, right? And then from there they all went on, did huge stuff. So they were going to kill that, right? After we did that for 2 years, I think we did like 3 or 4 seasons, whatever it was. And they just kind of told me one day, we're not doing that anymore with no real reason. I was like, isn't it good though? Like, shouldn't merit count for something? Everything is always measured by numbers. I'm like, well, yeah, if you advertised it and stuck it on 8 o'clock or after a Steph Curry game, I bet, well, Steph wasn't involved then, but whoever was playing back then, somebody famous. And they didn't do that. It just kind of got put on the internet and it was here. And it was the social media revolution hadn't really started. I think Twitter had just started literally like right as we were starting doing this. Right. And so if we did that kind of show now where everybody wants this short 3-minute content,
be huge.
Yeah. So, they were going to kill it. So I went into John Skipper, the former president, and I said, hey, I got an idea, because I didn't want them to replace that part of my contract with, you're now covering,
bocce. Yeah.
Icelandic rugby. Although I'd love to go to Iceland, so I guess I wouldn't have cared. But I was worried about what would fill that part of my contract.
Exactly.
I said, I got an idea. Remember Wide World of Sports? Agony, defeat, that whole thing? We're going to add the letter R. Our show's called Wider World of Sports.
And you went everywhere.
London opening. We went to an easy one first. Why don't we try an English-speaking country? Walk before you run kind of thing. Ireland, Switzerland, We didn't go to Iceland. We should have. Went to Nicaragua, Brazil, Thailand, New Zealand. The next year we went to California. Yeah.
But it's incredible. Like that thing. One of my favorite ones. You went to I think the Ireland where the game in the street where they hit the rock as far down the thing as they could go.
It. No, they throw it. Yeah. It's probably my favorite event. Probably the greatest one that we did though was the Palio, which is a horse race in Siena, Italy. They clear out this courtyard, this beautiful plaza where all the restaurants have and they pull back the tables. They throw down dirt. There are 17 districts in the town. They're called contradas, and each one has a name. There's the unicorns and the owls and the fish and whatever. And 10 of them get to be in a horse race twice a summer. Those who didn't get in the first part get in the second part. You know what I'm saying? So all of them get to play. And then it means the world. They think if they win this horse race, their wine crop will be great for 5 years. You know, they will have babies that are healthy. You know, all these blessings are going to come to them, right? And if they lose or their rival contrada beats them, they're like, you know, it's like a parody of an Italian film, like, oh my, you know, like, and so we made friends with the
La Dolce
unicorn.
Not Vita.
What's that?
La Vita Not Dolce.
Yeah,
whatever. The opposite.
Had the greatest time. My crew was amazing. The guys from DGA, Matt Doyle, Big Brick Productions, and all my friends already. We just got to travel the world. Went to Italy for 12 days, but we really worked as the thing. It wasn't.
No, you did work, but I mean, it was good. It was work with excellent benefits.
Bosnia. Yeah.
Didn't you do a demolition derby too?
Well, that was when we got moved domestically to save money because they realized Kenny's first class trip to London just cost us $14,000. You know,
well, how about New Zealand? That might have been a little more expensive.
Yeah, but we parlayed that with the Thailand trip to save money. You know. No, but the thing is, like I argued afterward, I said, yeah, it cost some money, but you also had sponsors. We had 2 different sponsors. I don't know how much they paid, but they offset it. And if
they weren't losing money on it. They weren't losing money on it.
If only they had made that be special. I thought it was pretty good material. Probably the best thing I ever did, I would say, in my 27 years.
I freaking loved it. And I was honestly, I was jealous because like you're going all those places that I want to go.
Yeah, I'm doing the 1 a.m. SportsCenter on ESPN News because the game went long.
And he's on a horse race in Italy.
Right now. Yeah, exactly. So the other one you mentioned was Irish road bowling.
Yeah.
They have a 2-pound iron ball, like it looks like a baseball, but it's iron ball. And these 2 guys from 2 towns, the toughest, biggest throwers in town, they come up. Just Google it. Put in Maine Irish road bowling. See the whole thing. And they throw a ball down the street. Wherever it goes, it's like golf now. Who's ever away goes next. And they throw it again, and they throw it again. You have to throw a ball 1.25 miles, and that's the game.
That's it.
But it's amazing.
Well, that's like every year when I would go to the Pro Bowl in Maui, and I'd stay there. It's Scott Van Pelt would text me and said, "I hope you get scurvy because it's like 23 inches of snow
that's
in Connecticut."
We were mad at you, not mad, but jealous. You know, like I'm doing.
Yes.
What am I doing right now? I'm doing a hockey game that went to 4 overtimes, and it's 3:45 in the morning. And then there's been a real story, you know, like a serious story. Oh, now we're staying late for the real, you know. And Trey's over there in a luau shirt on a beach with Schlereth or somebody. And you guys probably shot that at 10 a.m.
We did.
Wow.
Because of the time zone
really crisp practice for the NFC squad.
There's a lot of sweat going on there today. They're ready to put it all on the line for the Pro Bowl.
He answers that question. Now we're playing golf.
You're holding a football because people forget you played quarterback at UNLV before Randall Cunningham. Like you were the guy.
only guy to ever say that correctly for starters. It was sitting in the corner, and to me it's like a pacifier. Like some guys, Stuart Scott always, you know, pretended he was golfing, right? It felt good to be doing this thing. I don't know. It's fun it just calms me. So when I do interviews, a lot of times I just have one in my hand. It calms me. It's like a binky.
I always had to have a pen. When I was on with the set, I always had to have a pen in my hand.
On SportsCenter,
I hated not having a pen. Had to have a pen in your hand.
Agreed. And you would have crappy pens, and I would get mad at you. Not that you had to have a cross $300 pen, but don't be bringing out these crappy yellow. I'm not going to mention the product.
Yeah.
I didn't say that. Yes, so it feels good to have it. And so, yes, I was a senior in 1981. Sam King, you can Google it, was our starter. Good friend. He just texted me yesterday. He led the nation in passing yards. So no insult that I was second to him. Played a little bit. I didn't play much. I played a lot in JC, but not at UNLV. I was probably threw 100 passes in 2 years, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks or something, like nothing special. Randall was a freshman, and Alan Reynolds was third string from Buell, Idaho. And we knew Randall was going to be what he was. He should be in the Hall of Fame. But he was a freshman, and Sam, at the time, Sam and I knew how to, and Alan knew how to run the offense, and Randall didn't. Not that he was dumb. He just was a freshman. Randall, if Randall had Billick all his career,
yeah.
If they had that Minnesota, that offense, just imagine he would have, good guy. He's coaching his kids still, and he's a pastor in Vegas.
But the reason I bring that up is because you wrecked your ankle in a game. Who was it? It was against Utah? Oregon. Yeah. That
was the year before, 1980. Last play of a game, we're getting murdered. I'm out there because I'm second string, and the score's 33-9, I believe.
Yeah.
19 seconds to whatever it was, right? 10 seconds. Yeah. I'm like, well, you don't quit, right? I'm going to kneel down. Like an NBA, game's over. We're dribbling for 19 seconds. When you're a junior, and you're kind of like the outsider trying to make a mark, I was like, screw it, 95. That was our triple go route, outside and the tight end up the middle. Threw a horrible pass. It was rainy. It slipped. I slipped. On my left side, somebody stood me up. On my right side, a guy stuck his helmet on my ankle. You can Google that as well. It's on the internet. But I came back and played the next year is the crazy thing. And then it was a fracture dislocation. And all these years later, I had all these surgeries, and now I'm 50, 52, somewhere there. And I was not joking. I went to Seattle. I went to an amputation guy, and I went to a replacement guy, and I went to a fusion guy. I should have told that story with the amputation being third there. And they saved my life in a way. They're like, dude, you're too young. It's messed up, yes. You're in pain, yes. Go get better therapy. Go find a brace. They gave me some connections. Found this guy, Nino Pribic, in Kirkland, Washington, if you need any chiropractic help. He's become a friend. He also saved my ankle. He brought it back to life, basically. Then I got a brace, but then I got a better brace a few years later. This here, it's called an ExoSim. And Gretchen, who's still working, she got me, and we just inspired each other on one phone call. I was like crying on the phone. I can't believe what I just got. Like I'm running on day one on the treadmill, 15 miles an hour. So we started a foundation. Run freely.
There were days where you couldn't wear shoes. Like literally, your ankle was so big you couldn't put a shoe on.
Well, not just that. I still don't really wear shoes often. I have these fake shoes I wear. Like I did that commercial. They said they'd shoot out the shoes, so I didn't have to. Yeah. I like flip flops. I like bare feet. Flip flops second. Slippers distant third. Yeah. And I was at a Kentucky Derby with Gretchen a few years back. I was wearing dress shoes all day. My ankle was like this big. And we got out of the car after dinner. I took the shoes off, gave them to the valet, and I've never worn dress shoes again. I don't own any, and I never will, because they don't bless me. But
they're not fun. Yeah, go back to the brace.
Call a device. They're insulted if you just call it a brace. I just played golf 5 times. I threw the football the other day at UNLV. I can walk with her. I can hike. I can run with the dogs. So it's amazing, and we've helped now all the people, not just us. Like people send in money, $100, $10, $5. Jamal Crawford, our leading sponsor, he gave $27,000 to represent each of my years at ESPN. That was a sweet moment.
You're now sending these braces, the Run Philly, to veterans who need them.
Yeah, they got to come to Seattle, Gig Harbor, for like a week, get tested, get outfitted. Then they do a mold. Then first they vet them, like, are they eligible? Does their injury merit using this thing? And it's amazing. Since I announced I was leaving ESPN, I think we've raised enough to get 7 new veterans. Awesome. And we've only burned one of the costs. So we got 6 we're looking for.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I'll consider it a highlight of my time at ESPN. Like the first thing they said, you're going to work with Kenny Mayne. I was like, shit. I was like legit nervous. You know what I mean? Like you made me nervous.
You made a splash on your entrance because when you came in, you were hired to do ESPN News. And that was it was a good way to break it. Just like I broke in on ESPN2 Sports Smash. Like that was probably a good way to break in, right? You got quoted, I think, saying something like, I'm not here to be a mop-up boy or I don't know, something.
No. So here, there's a guy named Dan Caesar who wrote for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. So he gave me, before the article starts, he said, as the new guy, are you going to have to get Dan Patrick's,
Aaron Boy.
Aaron Boy. Yeah. And I said, well, I hope I don't have to be the towel boy too long.
That's what it was.
And then he went into this entire thing about, you started ESPN, you do this. So the quote was, he doesn't want to be on ESPN News forever, and then he added, I don't want to have to be the towel boy too long, which was totally out of context.
Oh,
so everybody signed a towel. Towel boy rules in blah, 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 blah. And the only two people that said something nice on the towel were you and Stuart. You both said welcome. Everyone else was like just a total. I still have the towel. I still have the towel.
I already guessed that it probably got taken out of context. And even if you did say that, like, oh, this guy, he's coming to play. Let's go. Like, I remember, my hiring is a 20-minute story, but I had a TV job in Seattle. I interviewed with ESPN. I didn't get hired because I didn't know who the fifth pitcher on the Cubs was. Interviewed again, did the Goodwill games. Now I'm a freelancer for 4 years while I'm assembling garbage cans and selling prepaid legal insurance and working for MCI in sales. So for 4 years, I was trying to impress ESPN. Like, I'm good enough to, hire me for real. Don't string me along with all these, Ken Griffey interviews for a minute, Like, I would interview Griffey, then I'd write on a side sheet, here's the story you could edit. Here's my opening paragraph. Here's the next. They're like, who is this weirdo? Why is he doing extra credit? Well, because I'm trying to show you I can do it. Like I was trying to show it. And they thought I was, out of my mind. A couple bosses stopped taking my calls. Some others kept taking my calls. And some people on the desk kept taking my calls. Eric Lynch and Mike Stinton and
Eric Lynch.
Jim Cohen was really good to me. And I'm leaving out some others, but they're like, this guy's interesting. He really wants to do this. So I didn't think you were, out of line at all. Like, whatever. And you ended up being pretty good. So who cares?
It's funny now, but it was such a thing. Like, Bill Pito called me. He's like, hey, man, you better be prepared when you walk in the door. I'm like, what the hell,
I wanted to plug my children's miniature golf, if you don't mind, briefly.
Do it. Plug away.
So I think I mentioned it roughly earlier before, but my friend Jason and I threw it out in the universe. And I don't know why. Like I said, I don't know why it happened, but it did. So now we're releasing some more. We hope people pay interest to those on my Twitter. The kid today, or yesterday, I guess it was, we're proud of that work. It's very esoteric, and it's not my full-time job yet. It might be. Maybe I just travel the country and do miniature golf coverage.
What would be better than that?
There's, any work is good work. Like when people, my dad always taught me this, like you treat the janitor the same way you treat the VP of the company walking down the hall. And I've always lived that way.
Custodians.
She said they're called custodians.
Okay. Well, the custodial staff will be well represented. I promise you.
But
all right.
No, treat humans like human. That's why when you do interviews, like, we already know each other, but right. That's why some of the athletes don't like do interviews because people don't treat them like human beings.
Correct. They're just
those
guys that play
treat
sports.
them like human beings do better and the interview's better. So
I agree. So anyway, go do your thing. I'm proud to be a part of the Ken Mayne Ego Tour at the moment. So
thanks for having me. You know what? I got more ego coming up on some other channel.
All right. Blessings. See ya.
Thank you. Good seeing you.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Good work. That was great.
Always great to catch up with Kenny. He's doing really well. Trust me, he'll be fine. Coming up next on our next episode of Half Forgotten History, 1984 was a very seminal summer for me. It was the year between my junior and senior year in college. A lot of good things happened that summer. Some we won't go into, but we will go into some of the cultural and sports things that happened with John Wertheim, who has worked for Sports Illustrated forever and is also working with CBS. He's written a book called Glory Days about the summer of 1984, 90 days that changed sports and culture forever. John Wertheim next time on Half Forgotten History.